What's up, YouTube? So my name is Vonnie, and this is like my first YouTube video. I filmed a few, but they just like I was either going through something and it was just a lot. So we're just gonna keep going into the, by the title you know what this video is about. This video is about being a young mom and having a child with spina bifida. And for those who don't know, spina bifida is a birth defect that occurs when the spine and the spinal cord don't form properly. So there's 3 different types of spina bifida. So you have spina bifida occulta, myelomeningocele, and just meningocele. So spina bifida occulta is like it's like a less severe form. It's like the hole is kind of small, it's just like a little gap is hidden. My son has spina bifida myelomeningocele, so he had like an opening, and that's like the most severe form of spina bifida. And then meningocele, I don't really know much about that one, but those are the 2 that I know a little bit more about. So my family's been telling me to make this video for the longest, and I've tried. Like I said, it's been a lot, and hopefully I can get into those things like later on down the line, but right now we're just gonna keep it real short and real cute. Okay, so basically I have a 1-year-old, and I found out my son has spina bifida when I was like 16 weeks pregnant. So in finding that out, you have to deal with a lot of things coming from the doctors, family, your own personal feelings, and it can be very overwhelming. It can be a lot. Just taking in the fact alone that this is something that could potentially stop him from doing things in life, and this baby that you think about all the time and all the dreams that you want and you have for them, it's like basically it's just like a kick in the gut, because you don't know if they're going to be able to experience those things or if they're going to feel different. It's just hard, So I had like a lot of tests run. I was adamant on keeping my baby. I didn't want to listen to what the doctors and genetic counselors and everything was telling me, but that becomes really hard when everybody keeps telling you everything but something positive. Everything was completely negative. I've had someone tell me that you're young, you could have more kids. Like, that's not what you tell someone in that kind of situation. Like, nothing was sensitive, to my needs and what I needed. So I seen like 2 different doctors during my pregnancy, like 3 different doctors during my pregnancy with my son. And here's the reason why. I didn't feel comfortable anymore with the first doctors that I had, just because nothing was positive. My OB at the time, he wound up telling me, and he said he was sorry about my experience at the hospital with everything, and he told me about fetal surgery, and I told him that that's something that I have looked up and read about. So he told me basically about one of his patients that they got it done and their kid came out perfectly fine and things like that. So I told him I'll look more into it. I found a hospital where I live at, and they performed fetal surgery, but it just wasn't the type of fetal surgery that I was looking for. The fetal surgery that they performed, basically you are more prone into going into early labor, and that's not something I wanted either. So they still did all the testing that they needed, me to do. Basically they tested my son to see if he had any other abnormalities besides the spina bifida and the hydrocephalus, which is fluid on the brain for people who don't know. And hydrocephalus can be caused by spina bifida. So that happens, and once they sat down, they talked to me. Still, they was trying to be as sensitive with me as possible, which I do appreciate, but it still wasn't basically what I feel like I needed in that moment or needed to hear. Except for like one doctor. Her and the rest of the doctors walked out the room after telling me that my son was going to come out with brain damage, and he was going to be paralyzed, and that fetal surgery might not help and things like that. And she came back and told me that, that they're just doctors. They can give you the textbook guess on what can happen with your baby, but they're not God. So just having a doctor come back and tell me that, it just made me want to push and fight for my baby even harder. So once they told me that, they can transfer my information over to Philadelphia and have them look it over, I said, please, yes, like this is what I wanted. Because I didn't think, like where I live at, I didn't think that in my circumstances, I didn't think I would ever be able to go or get to Philly to be able to have this procedure done. Like, it just was like out of my head. So after they transferred my information over, a few days after, an admissions counselor, that's what I'm gonna call her, because I really don't know the name for her job, but she called me and told me that they would like to see me for testing and be able to talk to me about the fetal surgery a little bit more. So I actually got my aunt, I didn't have to try very hard. Like, once I told her the situation, she was all the more willing to drive me there. And we did all the testing. Again, I'm hearing things that I didn't even hear from my hometown, like what would be wrong with my child. And I couldn't even cry, because I made a promise to myself, I am not going to keep crying about his situation. That's not going to help me. That's not going to help him. And that's not going to help me be able to mentally push forward for him. So when they're just telling me everything, I sucked it up. I took it. I'm like, okay. They told me I was eligible for the surgery. They told me that I am young, so they do have to, tell me that this is going to be a lot on my body. I couldn't have another baby for 2 years. And that this is something like, basically, I could never have like a natural safe delivery. I would have to have a C-section now, with any baby I choose to have, next. And I was okay with that. I was perfectly fine with that, as long as my baby came out. And it's always a 50-50 chance. Fetal surgery is not a cure. Fetal surgery is you basically trying to give your baby its best shot. It's a 50-50 chance of that the fetal surgery doesn't improve anything. Or it's a 50-50 chance that it improves everything. You just never know. So I took the risk. I did it. I had to be on bed rest for the rest of my pregnancy, which is oh my God, it's so hard for me. I hate sitting down in one spot. Like, I have to be ripping, running. I have to be going somewhere. So being on bed rest was extremely hard. I used to have to sneak out just to take walks by myself. I'm a very introverted person. I don't like to be around people all the time. And being in that type of situation, you're around people all the time. Like, you have to be. And that was extremely hard for me, because I had to share a room with either my mom, my aunt, or my son's father, and I couldn't just have a moment to myself. So that was very hard. I went into labor 13 weeks after my fetal surgery, and my son came out kicking and crying, and it was an amazing experience. Like, I can't even describe the experience of seeing him for the first time. But it's like, now with him almost being 2 years old, he did have some delays. He crawled really late. He crawled closer to his first birthday. He's still not walking yet, but he's trying. His language is delayed. Speech is delayed. But I know he understands me. He listens to me. He knows his colors. He can pick out which farm animal is which. Like, he's extremely, extremely smart. I am so blessed. He is so blessed. And If you found out that your baby has spina bifida, of course it's a kick in the gut, it's painful, it's shocking at first, but don't sit in that. You cannot sit in that. That just means you're going to give birth to an amazing child, you know. And fetal surgery isn't for everyone. Not everyone wants to go through that. Not everyone is eligible to do that. But it's like, I can only tell you what that doctor told me. And you really have to pull on your faith in those moments. And the doctors aren't the judge. They aren't the judge. Your child can come out, they don't get to, they guess about what's going to happen with your baby, basically. So I'm not saying don't trust in the doctors. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is stay strong to your faith. Stick to your faith. You know, your faith will never steer you wrong. And God has the final say so with what happens with your baby. You never know what can really happen, and you're gonna be so blessed. That just means them having spina bifida or having anything else that comes with it, with the hydrocephalus or whatever else, your baby's special, and that just means they need to be loved a little bit harder, a little bit longer, you know. You just have to do a little bit more things to make them feel special. Being pregnant and dealing with that is very overwhelming, and I'm not saying it isn't. It's very overwhelming. Dealing with that at first and not knowing if they're crying because it might be their shunt, if they have one, or if they just want to be held. It's very scary at first, but it's so rewarding. Once you start seeing them do the things that people said that they weren't going to do, it is so rewarding. It is. And you're gonna get through this, and you're going to love that baby. I am telling you. Like, I can't imagine not having my son. I don't know how I lived life before him. You know, I would do anything for him. And that's all I really just want to say with this video is don't feel discouraged. Lean on your family and lean on your faith. Those are the only things you can do in that moment, and stay positive always. Okay, so I'm going to try to upload another video for you guys, and it might be a routine with my son. I'm not quite sure yet, but remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, I will answer. I have no issues. Have a great day, guys.